Welcome back, my menopausal wonders. You've come to Menopause University, where you learn everything there is to know about menopause. And right now, you're learning everything you need to know about Alzheimer's. Actually, you've already learned what you need to know about the disease. I taught you all that in videos 236 to 252. Now we're embarking on all the management options that can prevent it. This is why you have to watch my videos in order. Can you imagine trying to learn all this in a willy-nilly random order? That would be enough to cause Alzheimer's. This is video number 259, and it's on the general principles of exercise for preventing Alzheimer's. Now, this is all in chapter 33 of my book, but it's nowhere near as detailed as it is here in this video. So you need to stay here and keep watching. Just saying that exercise can prevent Alzheimer's doesn't tell you the whole story. And if you've been watching my videos for any length of time, you know that I tell you the whole story. I am not one of those people who is trying to push one management style or another on you. All I do is educate you so that you can manage your menopause any way you please, but with knowledge and success. As you know, I give you management options in every category. And the reason I started the management options for preventing Alzheimer's with the lifestyle category is because it's the most important category of all for Alzheimer's. You see, just knowing a little fact like that can make all the difference in the world in terms of being on the right path to actually preventing a disease. And that's because the lifestyle category is not necessarily as critical for preventing all the other diseases, but for Alzheimer's, it is king. So in video 253, I talked about the lifestyle category in general. Then in videos 254, 255, 256, and 257, I taught you about how you have to exercise your brain to prevent Alzheimer's. And last week, the lesson was all about how the risk factors for heart attack are also risk factors for Alzheimer's. And today, the lesson is all about how physical exercise can prevent Alzheimer's. So the questions for today are, what kind of exercise prevents Alzheimer's, and why does it prevent Alzheimer's? Now, you know how much I like quiz questions, and this is a great opportunity for one. So here it is. Which of the following types of exercise serves to decrease your risk for Alzheimer's disease? A, only cardiovascular exercise. B, only exercise that increases your heart rate to your target heart rate for at least 20 consecutive minutes. C, only exercise that makes you sweat. D, only exercise that makes you breathe more deeply. E, only high-impact exercise. F, only weight-bearing exercise. G, only resistance exercise. H, only exercise that requires you to concentrate on the actual exercise as you perform it. I, only balance, flexibility, and core exercise. J, only exercise that focuses on mindfulness, such as yoga. K, only outdoor exercise that includes the stimulation of nature. L, all exercise regardless of type or intensity. M, A, B, C, and D above, consistent with the exercise for preventing a heart attack. Which answer makes the most sense to you? Are you fishing for the answer, unsure of what it is about exercise that benefits your brain? Well, here's the quiz question again with the answer in bold. So now you know that all exercise helps prevent Alzheimer's. But for purposes of this video, I'm going to divide exercise into 3 categories. And that's because the ways in which the 3 benefit your brain differ. So our 3 categories will be exercise that is all physical, exercise that is both physical and mental, and exercise that is merely a matter of being outdoors. And you will see if they benefit different aspects of brain buildup to prevent Alzheimer's or not. So let's start with exercise that is all physical. Now this would include the following: cardiovascular exercise, exercise at your target heart rate, exercise that makes you sweat, exercise that makes you breathe more deeply, high impact exercise, weight-bearing exercise, and resistance exercise. How do you think these types of exercise benefit your brain and prevent Alzheimer's? Do you notice that they are all the ones that you associate with more physical effort than with mental effort? These are all what I call get a move on exercises. They involve a lot of movement that is physically challenging. Now, why in the world would this kind of exercise help prevent Alzheimer's? Well, it's because when you get a move on, your neurons get a move on too. Physical exercise turns out to be the magical thing for enhancing brain buildup. And it does so at the level of individual neurons. Remember this? This is a neuron, the basic building block of your brain. It was the very first thing I showed you in the very first Alzheimer's video. And here we are, 23 videos later, discovering that physical exercise can prevent Alzheimer's because it acts on your neurons. And last week we talked about how the risk factors for Alzheimer's include those for a heart attack, which means that the management options for preventing Alzheimer's include those for preventing a heart attack. And when it comes to preventing a heart attack, it's all about blood flow and oxygen supply to your heart. Well, guess what? When it comes to preventing Alzheimer's, physical exercise is all about blood flow and oxygen supply to your brain at the level of the individual neuron. Studies show that physical exercise includes the birth of new neurons. The more neurons you have, the bigger and more dense your brain. And the bigger and more dense your brain, the less likely you are to lose your brain. In many ways, exercise does exactly for your brain what it does for any muscle, including your heart muscle. It makes it bigger and stronger. So just as a bodybuilder builds up his muscles with exercise, you can build up your brain with exercise. Now, how much of a difference in blood flow to your brain do you think you can make by doing purely physical exercise? 20%, 40%, 60%, more than that? What do you think? What would seem reasonable to you? Well, it's a full 100% increase in blood flow. That means that physical exercise increases blood flow and oxygen delivery to your brain by 100%. You can actually feel this happening. I'm a gym rat. I go to the gym first thing every single morning. And the first part of my workout routine is the cardiovascular stuff. I'm on what I call the variety plan. So I use a different cardio machine every single day of the week. One day it's the incline treadmill, the next day it's the stair climber, the next day it's the elliptical, and so on and so on. I use every single cardio machine. And you already know that I'm a nerd, but you don't know that I am such a nerd that I read while I'm on the cardio machine. Well, it's actually more than just reading. It's really research. You see, I don't move very quickly, so I'm able to read and highlight with all my multicolored highlighters. I really just can't help myself. As soon as I start doing my physical exercise, my brain just starts lighting up. And I really can't suppress it. So I read, I highlight, and I get all sorts of ideas about the things I want to do for you in these videos. That's why I also always have a notepad with me. Every so often, I jot something down on the notepad. All the other gym rats say that I turned the cardio machine into my office, and they've got a point. But by the time I finish my hour or so of cardio exercise, I have a pile of notes. My book is very colorfully marked up, and my brain is just on fire with ideas to implement when I get home. The physical activity definitely stimulates my brain. Now, I must confess, this does qualify as multitasking. And in video 257, I told you that multitasking is a huge no-no. But this is the one and only situation in which I multitask. Other than this, I am a fully focused, nothing else matters surgeon type of person. In this one instance, I guess you could say that I benefit both my heart and my head in more ways than one. So physical exercise is all about delivering more blood and oxygen to your brain. Okay, so now let's address how long this increased flow of blood and oxygen to your brain lasts after you finish your exercise. What would be your guess on that? Do you think the increase in blood flow and oxygen lasts only while you're doing the exercise, or for a few minutes after you finish, or for a few hours after you finish? It's hours. It's possible that it lasts days. You can test this yourself. Just do some physical exercise and see how long afterward you have increased brain activity. Mine lasts all day. In fact, I have a hard time shutting it down at the end of the day when it's time to go to bed. I don't voluntarily skip my workout on any day, but when life interferes with it due to something like an early morning flight that I can't control, I notice that my brain is more sluggish. So physical exercise sends more blood and oxygen to your brain so that when you get a move on, your neurons get a move on, and the effect is long lasting. Okay, so that explains why purely physical exercise benefits your brain. What about the kind of exercise that is both physical and mental? This would include any kind of activity that requires you to concentrate on the actual activity in order to perform it. When you do cardiovascular exercise, most of the time, your mind can wander anywhere. You can watch TV, you can talk on the phone, you can chat with your gym buddy, you can listen to music, zone out, whatever. You don't have to concentrate on putting one foot in front of the other or lifting your foot from one step to the other. It's mostly automatic, and it does not require any concentration on your part. But what about this second kind of exercise? The kind of exercise that requires you to focus on the exercise itself. Yoga is a perfect example. You cannot perform standing postures on one leg while you think about your grocery shopping or while you look around the room at other people. The same is true for any exercise that requires balance and core stability. These are the kinds of exercise that tend to be slow moving or isometric, in which you don't move at all. How do they benefit your brain and prevent Alzheimer's? They certainly don't involve a fast heart rate, sweating, heavy breathing, or anything you would associate with an increased flow of blood and oxygen to your brain. In some cases, it's quite the opposite. Some of these exercises are about moving more slowly and slowing your heart rate down and being as still as possible. The new buzzword for this kind of exercise is mindfulness. It implies that you think about what you're doing at the moment. It's the be here now philosophy. I've always thought the word mindfulness was wrong, though. I think it should be full-mindedness. It's yet another one of those things I contemplate that most other people do not. For me, mindfulness sounds more like you're minding your mother or some other authority figure, whereas full-mindedness implies filling your mind by concentrating fully on what you're doing. Well, regardless of what you choose to call it, this kind of exercise is all about concentration. And what's another word for concentration? Focus. In video 247, it was all about how important focus is in preventing Alzheimer's. And given the fact that most people do a whole lot more purely physical exercise than this kind of exercise, you see that this kind of exercise allows you to gain yet another benefit if you start doing it. Because if you've never done this kind of exercise before and you start doing it, it will constitute something that is new, different, and difficult. That's what I addressed in video number 255. Look around any gym and you will see everybody doing cardiovascular exercise, weight-bearing exercise, resistance exercise, but nobody working on slow, focused exercise that is mental and physical. Unless I'm there, I've developed an entire exercise program based on this kind of exercise. I'll be showing you some of those exercises in the next video. When was the last time you tried to balance on various instability devices? When was the last time you tried to maintain core stability while performing a functional task like putting on your shoes while standing on one foot? When was the last time you practiced flexibility exercises? Actually, you should try to inject this principle of new, different, and difficult into all of your exercise. Not only will it keep your brain fit, it will also keep your body fit. No matter what your level, you can always make this kind of exercise new, different, and more difficult. So it will be a lifelong challenge that pays huge dividends for building up your brain. If you watched the videos on osteoporosis, which encompassed a total of 35 videos from video 196 to video 231, you saw that I gave you 4 separate videos on the kind of exercise that helps you to prevent falls that can fracture your hip or spine. They were all about this kind of exercise that is both physical and mental. And I'll show you yet another one next week. Now for the third kind of exercise, outdoor exercise. You might wonder why outdoor exercise constitutes a separate kind of exercise rather than being lumped in with the other 2 kinds of exercise that I just talked about. Well, it's because outdoor exercise requires you to interact with the environment and with nature. And interacting with the environment requires you to notice things, adjust your footing for the terrain, pay attention to other people and pets, accommodate the weather, etc. A gym gives you a controlled environment. It's a safer environment in terms of posing a lower probability of injury, but it removes the stimulation that an outdoor environment provides. So, what kinds of outdoor activities suffice for preventing Alzheimer's? Do you think it's the very same activities I've discussed thus far, but outdoors instead of indoors? Or do you think you could prevent Alzheimer's with just any outdoor activity, no matter how minimal? Well, it might surprise you to discover that even the most minuscule, momentary outdoor activity produces benefits that can help prevent Alzheimer's. The human brain and body are designed to move and to interact with the environment. And doing anything at all outdoors benefits both. So, walking your dog, going for a stroll in the neighborhood, hiking surrounded by nature are all brain builders. Try it for yourself. Go for a brisk walk and notice that you automatically use the time to think. There's no doubt about it. When you go outside, your brain gets a workout. So there you have the 3 kinds of exercise. Exercise that is all physical, exercise that is both physical and mental, and exercise that is merely a matter of being outdoors. Of the three, which do you think is the absolute most beneficial for your brain? Would it be indoor exercise that is all physical, or indoor exercise that is both physical and mental, or outdoor exercise no matter how minimal? Well, here's the exercise surprise. It's outdoor exercise. Why? Because outdoors, anything can happen. And adapting to your environment at the same time you're doing a physical activity is very stimulating for your brain. It enhances your creativity. It faces you with new, different things, and it gives you the opportunity to focus. So, if you had to place these three types of exercise in order of priority for benefiting your brain, the hierarchy would look like this. Number 1, any outdoor activity. Number 2, any indoor physical exercise that is both physical and mental, involving both movement and focus. And number 3, any indoor physical exercise that increases blood flow as a result of cardiovascular work. Now, let's shift gears a bit. What about the term exercise routine? Do you think an exercise routine is a good thing or a bad thing? Well, it depends on what aspect of your exercise is routine. Getting exercise routinely is a good thing, but doing the same old exercise all the time is a bad thing. So a routine is good if it becomes a habit that serves to keep you doing your exercise regularly. But if you always do the very same thing for your exercise, that's not a routine, that's a rut. I talked about ruts in video 256. A rut constitutes stagnation. It's when your routine interferes with accomplishment of your goals. Have you ever heard Albert Einstein's quote that goes, "Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results"? Well, it applies to the effect of exercise on your body. I'm always shocked when someone says, "I don't understand why I'm not losing weight or getting a better figure. I've been doing the very same exercise for a year." The very reason you aren't seeing a result is because you've been doing the very same exercise for a year. Change it up. Do something new. It all goes back to getting outside your comfort zone. It's important for your brain and your body. Instead of doing the elliptical machine every day, adopt my variety plan. Do a different cardio machine every day. Use them all. They all have different benefits. They work different muscles or work the same muscles in a different way. If you inject variety into your workout, you will see results. Remember, you have to be specific about everything pertaining to exercise. If all you want is to maintain your weight, fine. An exercise rut of doing the same thing every day, day after day, may work for you. But if you want to see your body change, it won't. But when it comes to your brain, the same old thing will not be enough to maintain or build up your brain. It will be a surefire way to lose your brain. Okay, now what about exercise rhythm? By rhythm, I'm referring to the time of day when you exercise. You know, we all have certain times of day when we are most energetic. What time of day is that for you? And you also have certain times of day when you have the fewest interruptions impairing your ability to work out. When is that for you? Everything in your body functions according to a rhythm. So it's wise to figure out your body's exercise rhythm. If you have the most energy first thing in the morning, then get up early and exercise then. If you have more energy at night, do it then. And each kind of exercise may have a different rhythm for you. For instance, maybe you have energy for cardiovascular exercise in the morning, but hate doing yoga then. Maybe yoga is best closer to bedtime since it's less vigorous. Or maybe cardiovascular exercise too close to bedtime impairs your ability to fall asleep. I often hear people say that they hate yoga because it's not enough exercise for them. They want to move faster and sweat more. When I hear this, I suggest doing the fast, sweaty stuff first and then doing yoga. They're both good, but your body has a rhythm for when it wants one or the other. It's not an either-or phenomenon. Every day, I start out my workout with the cardio stuff. Then I do a little resistance exercise that includes balance, like the stuff I'll show you next week. And then I finish with yoga. If I did it in the reverse order, my body wouldn't like it because it wouldn't work with my body's rhythm. And think about the best time of day for your exercise. Don't sabotage yourself by trying to fit it into a time slot that will be fraught with things that impair your ability to get it done. Dedicate time for your exercise and don't let anything interfere with it. So you have to distinguish rhythms, routines, and ruts. Exercise according to your body's energy rhythm. Adopt a routine of exercising habitually. But don't get into a rut of doing the same exercise day after day. Now, if you consider what I've taught you about exercise for the 3 diseases we've covered, what you're seeing is that it's critical to know precisely what kind of exercise decreases your risk for each disease. And you're seeing that there happens to be some overlap. Exercise that prevents a heart attack also prevents Alzheimer's. And the exercise that prevents falling and fracturing a bone from osteoporosis also prevents Alzheimer's. Isn't that great? This enables you to use different kinds of exercise to accomplish different goals. But it's critical to be specific about the limitations of each option. You've seen that I always specify the limitations of what each management option can and cannot do. I do not push a management style. I do not tell you that one thing is the magic answer for meeting all your needs. I do not imply that all women should do the same things. The problem is that so much of what you hear these days is marketing, not education. With marketing, the claims lead you to believe that the product or practice is good in every way, for everything, for everybody. It doesn't work that way. As you've heard me say many times, everything, absolutely everything, has both benefits and risks, pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages. Your job is to learn the limitations of each option so that you employ the ones that will be best for you. So the summary for today's lesson is that there are 3 different types of exercise that can help you prevent Alzheimer's. 1, purely physical activity in which you get a move on. 2, full-minded activity in which you get focused. And 3, any outdoor activity in which you get unpredictable stimulation from the environment. The first one sends more blood and oxygen to your brain. The second one constitutes using your brain to do new, different, and difficult things mentally. And the third makes you interact with the environment in a number of ways. As I have in the previous management option videos, here's our brain buildup and brain breakdown chart showing you how each of these contributes to brain buildup. So you can see that all 3 contribute to all 8 steps. And that's all, folks. Next week, I'll entertain you in the gym with yet another of my self-created exercise videos. And I promise you won't see any of my exercises anywhere else. I made them all up myself. It's what I do, and you might like them. If you want a consultation for anything at all, so that I can tailor everything specifically to you, schedule it at menopausetailor.me. But plan ahead. It takes a while to get on my very busy consultation calendar. I would love to be able to consult with you right away, but realize that I make these videos all by myself. The planning, the content, the props, the charts, the shooting of the actual video, all of it. I am a one-woman, one-person show. So there's no way I can do consultations on short notice. And they are very popular, so I'm booked quite far in advance. But I promise you, it is worth the wait. I will help you more than you can possibly imagine. Okay, be sure to subscribe here at Menopause Taylor. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I will see you in the gym in a week. Bye!